Now, the final issue that I'd like to mention is Snowy 2. Now, I'm fully supportive of this concept. It's been on the books for 30 years. The Snowy Hydro team, Paul Broad and his crew, have done an excellent job of getting this up and running as a proposal. They made an initial bid for ARENA funding for feasibility studies in February last year, well before Malcolm Turnbull discovered this project, and ARENA made an independent decision to assist them with that, $8 million of the, I think, the $29 million that was required. And they will be able to raise the finance for the construction of the project, but there are a number of things that the federal government needs to attend to. Firstly, and most importantly, there are $2 billion of extra transmission costs that are critically important for South Australia in any event, because we know that that lack of a second interconnector is a vulnerability for South Australian electricity. But this will be the platform that enables the critical southeast corner of Australia, New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, to transition to 100% renewable energy. And critical to that will be the transmission aspect. Critical to the investment flow will be the government guaranteeing the risk on that transmission before those financial decisions are made by mid-year. The government has to get on with that now, of consolidating what's going to be required for the transmission costs. Also, there was this floating of the idea of a Commonwealth buyback of the Snowy scheme. We haven't heard any more of that. There's nothing reflected in these bills about the $5 or $6 billion that will be required to do that and the agreement of the states. But certainly we wouldn't be opposed to that as long as the privatisation processes that were previously sought aren't sought by the coalition ever again. But the other aspect that needs attending to is that it's likely that the project will need some sort of dividend holiday from the stakeholders, and we've heard nothing from the federal government on that. But this report, that I think all journalists should read, the Marsden Jacob Associates report on the feasibility of the Snowy scheme, deals with the economics and market issues here, and it bells the cat on this government completely. I mean, it talks about the fact that this project will only really be truly feasible and truly beneficial if you commit to an aggressive renewable energy target, and they talk about 60%, the long-range commitment by 2040. And they specifically said the higher market benefits of that long-term commitment scenario reflect the greater utilisation of Snowy 2 in shifting energy as required under the scenario of higher renewable generation. Higher market benefits. Really, it critically fits only within the concept of Labor's current renewable energy policy, and it's all spelled out in here, as are the belling of the cat on the so-called carbon capture and storage plan. They specifically say in here that there's nothing commercially deployable in the space of carbon capture and storage, and there's not likely to be anything close to that before 2030, and even then only viable with a carbon price. That's what it says in this report, specifically in black and white. It also highlights the fact that these major power stations are going to be falling over by 2032. The future of coal thermal generation is clearly reaching its termination. There's a lot of urgency needed out of this government to deal with not only that energy security, market stability, lower cost for consumers in adopting the measures in this report, but the future of our children as well in climate change measures.